Hello everyone, Salt here. Welcome to the video. Today we are going to be going over the Azima and its potential to be used as a pseudo ability. So the Azima is one of the coolest actually it's just one of the coolest weapons in the game. It's a login reward. You have the first chance to get the Azima at day 100 as a login reward. And after that, every 200 days you get another chance to get the Azima. Now, it's a little secondary pistol. It's kind of like a little submachine gun. The actual weapon itself of the Azima is kind of lackluster. It's a little submachine gun. It does pretty like mediocre damage. It's just kind of mediocre. It's really nothing special about the actual primary fire mode of it. But what makes this weapon one of the coolest weapons in the game is its alternate fire. So let's get into the build for the Azima here. Now the build is going to look absolutely crazy, and I will explain all of this stuff. So what does the alternate fire do of the Azima? Because the primary fire is just a boring submachine gun that's pretty lackluster. There's a lot of weapons that are a lot better than the Azima's primary fire. So the alternate fire, let's read the unique trait here. Alternate fire launches magazines as an automated turret shooting nearby enemies. It's not like 100. I mean, it does shoot nearby enemies, but doesn't really target them. It spins around. So let me just show you here. Let me go back out. Now the Azima, I want you to take a look at the duration of this. So just keep in mind how many seconds passes after I shoot this. So the Azima is going to have, the alternate fire is going to have a maximum duration of 30 seconds. It can't be pushed further than 30 seconds. It used to be able to, and then DE kind of nerfed it, and they were like, all right, all these shenanigans where the Azima lasts for like, multiple minutes is too much. So they nerfed it to 30 seconds. Now a 30-second ability is still really good. So it just exploded there. It's finally gone. The other cool thing about the Azima is that you can shoot multiple of them. So you don't have to just shoot one. You can go like this. Now, every time you fire that alternate fire, it's going to throw the entire magazine. This like little item right here is effectively the magazine. This is the second magazine I shot. This is the third magazine I shot. So if you look at my magazine on the bottom right, I have 161 bullets in each magazine. And so during its time up, it's trying to expend all 161 of those bullets. There we go. Okay. Now, baseline, the Azima doesn't last that long. Baseline, the alternate fire really only lasts for like 10-ish seconds. And that's not really good enough because it doesn't do, the Azima itself doesn't do great damage. The alternate fire doesn't really do great damage. But what the alternate fire does do is it stays up for 30 seconds. So what can we do with something that hits enemies and lasts for 30 seconds? And there's a few different things we can do. There's crowd control. So you would get your crowd control out of heat or electric, not both, heat or electric. When enemies are affected by heat, they're going to have that little, they flail around because they're on fire for a few seconds. And the same thing with electric. When they're affected by electric, they kind of flail around for a few seconds. So heat and electric are going to be your two options for crowd control. The other third option for crowd control is going to be radiation. And then the other option for just generally an okay thing for the Azima to do for 30 seconds is putting viral as a viral spreader. Now, the reason I don't like radiation or viral is because they require, for the Azima to like properly be spreading good amount of stacks on enemies, you really do need to have like status duration on your Azima. And the build for the Azima is pretty tight because you are trying to get that thing to last for 30 seconds. And we don't really have space for status duration. There are options to put status duration on, but it's going to make the Azima itself, the magazine that's out, last for less than 30 seconds. It's going to go down to like 20 seconds, 25 seconds, or it's going to give you less status chance. And so viral and radiation are options, but I don't think they're the best options. I personally like playing the Azima as a 30-second crowd control ability. And I actually have I don't do these builds with Rivens because people aren't going to have the same Riven. But my Riven has electric on it. So when I build my Azima out, I actually usually have electric instead of heat. But, I mean, if I had to really pick one between electric and heat, I'm going to pick heat because I like the way heat procs work on enemies better than electric. But let's say you ended up getting a Riven that had electric. It's not the end of the world. That's great too. It does crowd control just like heat does. You just don't get the little armor strip that heat also gives. So, okay. So how do you get the Azima to last for 30 seconds? There's two ways to do this. And that is going to be through magazine size. And the second way is going to be through negative fire rate. So positive magazine size and negative fire rate is going to cause the Azima to last for longer. So let's go through the mods here. First mod is going to be barrel diffusion for multi-shot. So as you see here, I think they're the same. So status chance is 40 on the regular primary fire, and then on the disc it's also 40%. So status chance is only 40%. So it doesn't have the best status chance in the world. So adding multi-shot helps with applying statuses because obviously if you have a 40% chance for each bullet to apply a status, shooting 2 bullets is going to give you more of a chance to apply that status. So that's why we go with multi-shot. The reason we are not using galvanized diffusion, because almost every build I make uses the galvanized mods instead of the regulars, is because this is a support item. This is a support secondary that you will likely not get any kills with. This is something that's going to stay out for 30 seconds. It's going to do its job for 30 seconds. It's basically an ability. But it's probably not going to get a lot of kills, if any, really. And so galvanized diffusion, this scales on kills. So barrel diffusion, it gives us 120, where galvanized would only give us 110. So we get an extra 10% multi-shot because we're not really assuming that we're going to get any kills on the Azima here. So that's why we use regular barrel diffusion. Next, we have tainted clip. So tainted clip is going to give us that positive magazine capacity. So that's going to increase the duration of our turret that's out. The negative reload speed kind of sucks, but whatever. It's not the end of the world. A lot of times you're not dumping multiple magazines at a time. You're dumping like 1 or 2. So negative reload speed isn't horrible, but that is a bad thing to have. So we have the positive magazine capacity, which is awesome. Negative reload speed, whatever. Sure shot. Sure shot is going to give us the plus 90% status chance. So, weapon doesn't have great status chance, so sure shot is going to boost it to 40%, which is still not great, but it's good enough. And that's why we're using that. Primed slip magazine is going to give us more magazine capacity, which is going to equate into more duration on our turret. Next, we have the elements here. I'm going with heat. I like the CC build better. If you want to go with electric, you would just do the same thing. Instead of the primed heated charge, you would use primed convulsion. Or you could use regular convulsion if you don't have the primed version of convulsion. And then you would use the 60-60 also. So you would use the 90 heat and the 60-60 heat, or the primed version. And the 90 electric and the 60-60 electric, or the primed version of electric. The other two options that we talked about that I don't think they're as good because they kind of require status duration for it to be spreading a good amount of statuses is going to be viral and radiation. So radiation is also going to be kind of like a CC thing, just like fire and electric. It's just going to make enemies shoot at each other instead. The problem is that the Azima, because it kind of just rotates and it shoots things randomly, it's not like stacking statuses on one target very frequently. And so, like, you're not going to get very high viral stacks on a target. You're going to get like 1 to 3 viral stacks on targets around the area, which kind of not really good enough. You might as well just have viral on your own weapon then. And radiation, I mean, radiation, they only need 1 radiation proc to start like hitting each other, so that's not terrible. I just think that just heat or electric is a little bit better, at least for me. Maybe you do like radiation. Maybe you want to put radiation on. That's fine too. Next here, we have Creeping Bullseye, and we are not using this for the critical chance because, again, this weapon is not really going to be killing anything. In fact, we're using Creeping Bullseye for the negative fire rate. That's why we have Critical Bullseye in this slot. So I did a lot of testing because I didn't want to put Critical Bullseye or Creeping Bullseye here. I was like, I don't want to spend an entire mod slot for negative 20 fire rate. But it does add about 5 seconds to the duration. This gets you, without a Riven, because normally you have to use a Riven to get closer to that 30-second mark for your turret to be out. But without a Riven, without Creeping Bullseye, it's about like 24 to 25 seconds. And with Creeping Bullseye, it gets to more like 29 seconds. This build doesn't technically get to 30. You have to have a Riven that has a little bit higher either negative fire rate or magazine capacity to get to 30 seconds. But this build does get to like 29. I think it's like 28 or 29 my stopwatch hit it at. Primed Quick Draw for reload speed. This is going to, if you like to throw, it's up to you. I like to throw like 2 magazines at a time for turrets. If you like to throw 1 magazine at a time, then reload speed doesn't really matter too much. But I like to throw 2, and so I like to have a quick reload in between. And then in the Exilus slot, you have a couple options here. And your options are going to be Trick Mag for just more maximum ammo. And this is because we are throwing, in every time we shoot out one of the turrets for our alternate fire, we are expending the entire magazine of 161 bullets. And so even though this has an almost 1,000 bullet ammo maximum, that's only like, I'm bad at math, but that's like 6 or 7 shots from the alternate fire, and then we are completely out of ammo. And so, and that's with Trick Mag. Without Trick Mag, it's even less. So Trick Mag is a really good option. The other good option is Prime Pistol Ammo Mutation. So you would just get more pistol ammo here. This, you have a higher pool of pistol ammo. They're both really good. Kind of choose your flavor, whatever you like, either Trick Mag or Prime Pistol Ammo Mutation. Trick Mag is cheap. It doesn't like take a lot of space, and it's not a prime mod, so I kind of go with that one. And then for our arcane, there's really only one option, and that's because we're not really intending for our Azima to be a damage outputter. We're intending it to be a pseudo ability. And that's going to be Secondary Encumber, because Secondary Encumber doesn't require us to kill, doesn't require us to do damage. All it requires us to do is do a status effect. And anytime we do a status effect, we have about a 24% chance to trigger a second random status effect. So sometimes we, even though we don't have viral on here, sometimes we will be getting a viral. Sometimes we'll get a magnetic. Sometimes we'll get a radiation, and they'll be shooting at each other. And so Secondary Encumber is pretty much your only option for the arcane, just because we're not building this to do damage. We're building this to be a ability, basically. So Secondary Cucumber right there. That is the build for the Azima. I'm going to show it off a little bit again here. So this is meant to be used in conjunction with like another primary damage source. Maybe you're a melee frame. Maybe you're using primaries like the Kuvikarik here. So what you're doing is, there's a pack of enemies. You're going to like kind of stay in the area for a little bit. You throw out 2 of your Azima turrets. And then, you go back to your primary and you do your little thing. You're shooting at enemies there, and these are just going to stay up for 30 seconds. You only have to refresh them once every 30 seconds. It's up to you whether you want to shoot out 2, whether you want to shoot out 1, or you want to be crazy and you want to just blow like your entire ammo load here and just shoot a million of them out. Well, you can't shoot a million. You can probably shoot like 5 to 8 maybe. And get some more ammo here. But yeah, they're going to stay up for, it's not exactly 30 seconds with this build. It's like 29 seconds, but it's good enough. So it's a CC ability. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to spawn some enemies up there because I want to show you how it looks like when they're actually like providing the CC. So I'm going to wait for these little guys to explode. When they explode, they do blast damage. It's kind of bad damage, but whatever. I just wanted to add that, so I'm giving all the information. There we go. Okay. Let me spawn my guys that I usually do. I get these big exo officers that have gigantic amounts of armor. So I like to throw 2 at a time. You can go crazy and throw more. You can go a little bit less crazy and just throw 1, but it's up to you, whatever you like. Make sure you do have a full mag there. So I have a full mag of 161. I'm going to throw 2 of them. And that's it. And then I just go back to my primary, and maybe I'm doing my little thing here. I'm shooting stuff. And they're just going to spin around. They're going to shoot things randomly, and they're going to provide crowd control. And, I mean, look, this guy has a radiation proc from Secondary Cucumber. That guy's got a radiation proc from Secondary Cucumber. So, like, Secondary Cucumber will give you those weird procs that you won't normally get. And that's why I think that electric or fire as just crowd control is a better element to have on the Azima. But viral and radiation are an option. I just don't think they're the best option. So, yeah, this is a... I really like using the Azima on Warframes that... like a Naros, for instance. The Azima is my favorite secondary on a Naros because I actually use the Strun as my primary weapon. I know this is the Kubik Herrick, but I use the Strun as my primary weapon. And the Strun doesn't have ammo issues, so I don't really have to worry about needing to switch my secondary for like a damage source. And so my secondary gets to be an ability, basically, a 30-second crowd control ability. And that's really good on a Naros because a Naros has really shitty abilities. So my secondary is like one of my best abilities on a Naros, weirdly. Maybe after the rework that won't be true. But yeah. So it's a a 30-second crowd control ability. Really nice. You're going to use it in conjunction with your primary because, of course, it's not going to do crazy damage there. But yeah, it's one of the coolest weapons. There's another weapon that is like the Azima that can be built as a 30-second crowd control ability. It's the Tenant Ferox. I might do a build on that pretty soon as well. They fixed it as well, so the Tenant Ferox used to not be able to apply its progenitor elements during its alternate fire, but now it can. So the Tenant Ferox has gotten a little bit better, but I might have to switch my build because of that. Because before it was only electric, which was fine because it was, crowd control. But yeah, this is the Azima. There's really no point in me doing a gameplay with this because it's not going to kill anything. It's just going to show that it CCs enemies. But yeah. All right. Well, I hope you guys liked the video. The Azima is pretty cool. I would definitely recommend. There's a few good options when you get the login reward for the Azima. There's like the Zenith, I think, is a good option. That's really good for Eidolon hunting. I think it's also good for Profit Taker. The Zenith has some niche uses that it's really, really good at. The Azima, though, is just good in general as a pseudo ability. So, yeah, if you guys liked it, give it a like. And I appreciate you guys' support. Thank you so much, and you guys have a good day. Bye.